Imagine this. You walk into a room filled with people, each one holding their own dreams, fears, and beliefs. Some are confident, some are doubtful, and some are silently fighting battles you can't see. In this world, power doesn't belong to those who shout the loudest or demand the most. True power belongs to those who can gently touch minds, inspire hearts, and move people to action without ever forcing them. That, my friend, is the real art of persuasion. Persuasion is not about tricking others or twisting their will. It's not about manipulation or control. It's about creating a bridge built on understanding, respect, and purpose. When you truly understand people, when you listen more than you speak, when you seek to help rather than to win, something magical happens. People begin to trust you, to believe in you, and eventually to follow you. Not because they must, but because they want to. Bob Burg teaches that the world doesn't reward intimidation. It rewards influence. Anyone can scare people into agreement, but that's temporary. The one who inspires people to want to say yes, that's the person who becomes unforgettable. Think about the greatest leaders, teachers, and friends you've ever known. They didn't control others, they connected with them. They didn't push, they pulled, through kindness, wisdom, and vision. That is persuasion at its highest level. When you use persuasion with integrity, you don't just win deals, you win hearts. You don't just change decisions, you change lives. Because persuasion at its core is not about power over others, it's about power within yourself. The power to understand, to connect, and to create change that lasts. And that's where our journey begins. The journey of mastering influence, not by fear, but by inspiration. Before you can persuade anyone in the world, you must first learn to persuade yourself. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, every emotion you project, all of it is a reflection of what's happening inside you. Persuasion is not a battle of words. It's a mirror of mindset. When your thoughts are calm, your emotions steady, and your heart sincere, people can feel it, even without you saying a single word. Your attitude is the silent force that decides whether people open up to you or turn away. A confident but kind presence attracts, while arrogance and insecurity repel. Bob Burg reminds us that the person with the calmest mind holds the greatest influence. Because when chaos arises and tempers flare, the one who stays centered becomes the one others look to for direction. Think about it. When you meet someone who radiates genuine positivity, who listens with attention, who believes in what they say, don't you feel naturally drawn to them? That's not luck. That's inner control. That's emotional intelligence in motion. Confidence doesn't mean being louder, it means being certain. Calmness doesn't mean being weak, it means being grounded. And sincerity, that's the bridge that connects your heart to theirs. When you speak from honesty and good intent, people sense it instantly. Persuasion, therefore, is not something you do to people, it's something that flows through you. The stronger your inner world, the easier your outer world responds. So before you step into any conversation, any meeting, any challenge, remind yourself that your energy, your mindset, your calm confidence is your first and most powerful tool of influence. Because in the end, you don't convince people with just logic, you convince them with the quiet strength of who you are. Every person you meet carries an invisible sign that says, "Make me feel important." It's a universal truth. No matter their age, background, or position, everyone longs to be noticed, respected, and valued. And this is where the golden rule of persuasion begins, the ability to make others feel significant. Think about it. You remember people who made you feel special, don't you? The teacher who believed in you when others doubted, the friend who listened without judgment, the leader who thanked you for your effort. They left a lasting mark not because they had authority, but because they gave you recognition. That is emotional connection, and it is far more powerful than logic or argument. Bob Burg teaches that when you make someone feel genuinely appreciated, you create a spark that no amount of pressure or clever words can replace. A simple compliment, a sincere thank you, or even just listening with full attention, these are acts of invisible persuasion. Because when people feel seen, they naturally lower their defenses and open their hearts. But here's the secret. It must be real. False praise smells fake, but sincere appreciation is unforgettable. You can't fake care, you must feel it. When you truly respect others, when you celebrate their efforts, when you treat everyone, from the waiter to the CEO, with equal kindness, you earn something far greater than agreement. You earn trust. And trust is the foundation of all influence. So, if you want to win people's hearts, start with what every human soul desires most: to feel important. Speak to their worth, honor their contribution, and let them know they matter. Because once people feel valued in your presence, they will always remember you, even long after the words are forgotten. Words are powerful, but only when spoken with the right heart behind them. The greatest persuaders in history didn't just know what to say, they knew how to say it. The way you speak, the tone you use, and the energy you project can turn simple words into music that people want to listen to. Every sentence carries emotion. Every pause, every smile, every gesture speaks a language of its own. The truth is, people don't just hear your words, they feel your presence. When your tone is warm, your posture open, and your eyes attentive, you communicate trust before a single word is even spoken. Bob Burg reminds us that influence is often less about the message and more about the delivery. A kind word, softly spoken, can open doors that 1,000 forceful arguments cannot. The language of connection is gentle, respectful, and empathetic. It listens before it responds. It understands before it convinces. When you speak, imagine your words as a bridge, not a wall. Choose expressions that uplift rather than challenge, inspire rather than criticize. Even when you must disagree, do it with grace. A calm voice and respectful tone can transform conflict into understanding. And remember, body language never lies. A genuine smile, a nod of understanding, an open stance, these small gestures tell people, you matter, I see you. That's how trust begins, and that's how hearts open. Persuasion through words is not about showing your intelligence, it's about showing your humanity. Because people might forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And when your words carry warmth, sincerity, and respect, that's when they start to truly listen. To truly persuade, you must first learn to see the world through someone else's eyes. Empathy is not just a soft skill, it is the heartbeat of real influence. It's the quiet ability to step outside your own perspective and step into another person's world, to feel what they feel, to understand what drives them, and to speak to their emotions instead of just their logic. Most people listen only to reply, but the persuasive few listen to understand. They hear not just the words, but the silence between them. They notice the tone, the hesitation, the unspoken need hiding behind each sentence. Bob Burg reminds us that empathy is what separates manipulation from connection. Manipulation seeks to use people. Empathy seeks to help them. When you truly listen, you discover what matters most to the other person, their fears, hopes, dreams, and insecurities. Once you know that, your message can reach their heart instead of just their ears. You no longer try to push your idea, you shape it to fit their needs, their desires, their vision. Think about how powerful it feels when someone genuinely understands you, when they don't judge, don't interrupt, but simply get you. That feeling builds instant trust. It makes you open up, it makes you want to cooperate. That's the emotional connection persuasion depends on. Empathy transforms communication from a transaction into a relationship. It turns a simple conversation into a shared journey. When you can feel what others feel, your influence becomes effortless. Because you're no longer trying to win against them, you're walking beside them. And that's the secret. People don't follow those who talk the most. They follow those who understand the deepest. The most powerful voices in persuasion are not the ones giving orders. They are the ones asking questions. Questions are gentle keys that unlock understanding. They guide without pushing, invite without forcing, and lead others to see truth on their own terms. That's the quiet genius behind persuasion. People rarely resist their own ideas. When you ask instead of tell, you shift the power dynamic. Instead of saying, here's what you should do, you ask, what do you think would happen if we tried this? That one small difference transforms control into cooperation. It makes the other person feel respected, involved, and valued. And when people feel ownership in a decision, they naturally support it. Bob Burg teaches that the right question at the right time can do more than 100 clever arguments. Questions open minds, while commands close them. When you ask with sincerity and curiosity, You show that you care about understanding, not winning. But the secret lies in how you ask. Your tone must be calm, your intent pure, your words simple. Ask questions that explore, not interrogate. How do you feel about this? What would make this better for you? Is there something I might be missing? These questions build bridges, not barriers. Every time you ask, you invite dialogue instead of debate. You allow people to discover the answer themselves, which is far more powerful than being told what to believe. Because when someone reaches a conclusion on their own, that truth becomes part of them. Persuasion at its highest level is not about telling people what to think. It's about guiding them to see what's already true. Ask more. Listen deeply. Lead quietly. And you'll find that the strongest influence comes not from commanding attention, but from inspiring reflection. No matter how kind or wise you are, there will always be moments when people disagree with you. Resistance is natural, but what separates the truly persuasive from the ordinary is how they respond to that resistance. Most people react with defense, with argument, with ego. The wise persuader responds with calm curiosity and quiet strength. When someone pushes back, your first task is not to win the argument. It's to understand their viewpoint. Every objection hides a reason, a fear, or a doubt. Instead of fighting it, uncover it. Ask gently, "I see your point. Can you tell me more about what makes you feel that way?" These simple words can dissolve walls that no amount of debating ever could. Bob Burg reminds us that persuasion dies the moment argument begins. Because the more you try to prove someone wrong, the more they fight to prove themselves right. You might win the point, but lose the person. The goal isn't victory, it's harmony. When you listen to someone's resistance with patience and respect, you send a silent message: "I value your opinion." And that changes everything. People lower their guard when they feel heard. They start to see you not as an opponent, but as an ally trying to find a common solution. If you must correct, do it gently. Use phrases like, "That's a good thought. May I share another perspective?" Or, "I completely understand why you feel that way, and here's something that might add to it." These are the small bridges that turn disagreement into dialogue. Persuasion is not about crushing opposition. It's about transforming friction into flow, tension into trust. When you meet resistance with grace, you disarm it. And over time, even your strongest critics can become your greatest supporters. Not because you forced them to agree, but because you led them there with patience, respect, and understanding. Rapport is the invisible thread that connects hearts before minds ever agree. It's that instant sense of comfort when you meet someone and feel like you've known them for years. That connection is no accident. It's the foundation of true persuasion. Because before people listen to your words, they first decide how they feel about you. To build rapport, you must become genuinely interested in others. People can sense authenticity. When you show real curiosity about their stories, when you listen not to respond but to understand, they begin to trust you. Trust is not built through impressive words, it's built through honest attention. Bob Burg explains that rapport is created through small, thoughtful behaviors. Mirroring the other person's tone, pace, or posture can create subconscious harmony. A light sense of humor, when used kindly, can dissolve tension and make people feel at ease. And above all, finding shared values, things you both care about deeply, creates emotional alignment that no logic can match. Think of rapport as emotional synchronization. When you match someone's energy, you build rhythm. When you match their sincerity, you build respect. And when you match their values, you build loyalty. But true rapport cannot be faked. It comes only when you genuinely care. When your intent is to connect, not to control, people feel safe in your presence. They open up, they trust your words, and they begin to see you as someone on their side. In persuasion, rapport is not a technique. It's a way of being. It's about creating a space where both people feel understood, appreciated, and respected. When you master the art of rapport, influence no longer requires effort. Because once two hearts are connected, understanding flows naturally, and persuasion happens effortlessly. People rarely act simply because you want them to. They act when they see how it benefits them, when they feel it improves their life, solves their problem, or fulfills a desire they care about deeply. That is the golden rule of persuasion. always speak in terms of what's in it for them. Bob Burg emphasizes that the most effective persuaders are not focused on pushing their agenda. They are focused on helping others see value. It's not about what you gain, but about what the other person gains. When you frame your ideas around their success, their comfort, their growth, suddenly your words carry weight they never had before. Think about it. A product, a plan, or even a suggestion becomes irresistible not because it's impressive, but because it solves a problem, eases a burden, or creates opportunity for the listener. And the key is to be specific. Show exactly how your idea improves their situation, not in abstract terms, but in a way they can feel and imagine. When you communicate benefits sincerely, you eliminate resistance. People don't feel pressured, they feel understood. They don't feel sold, they feel invited. And that is the essence of influence, guiding others to see the value of your ideas while respecting their choice to embrace them. Remember, persuasion is not about your wants, it's about theirs. When you make the other person the hero of the story, when your words highlight their gain, you turn a conversation into collaboration, hesitation into action, and a simple idea into something people truly want to follow. The secret is simple. Focus on them, show the benefit, and watch doors open that logic alone could never unlock. True persuasion is not about force, pressure, or clever tactics. It is about influence rooted in integrity, the quiet power of honesty, respect, and a sincere desire to help others succeed. When your actions are guided by these principles, people respond not out of fear or obligation, but out of trust and admiration. Bob Burg teaches that anyone can demand agreement or intimidate people into compliance, but that kind of victory is temporary. Influence built on integrity, however, lasts. It creates relationships that endure, opportunities that multiply, and a reputation that opens doors effortlessly. People remember those who lift them up, who act with fairness, and who seek mutual success rather than self-interest alone. When you lead with integrity, your persuasion becomes invisible. You don't have to push, convince, or manipulate. People naturally follow because they believe in you and in the value you bring. Success achieved this way is sweeter because it is shared, and it grows because it is trusted. Every conversation, every interaction, every decision is an opportunity to practice this principle. Treat everyone with respect, speak the truth even when it's hard, and focus on solutions that benefit both sides. Over time, your influence becomes exponential, not because you demanded it, but because people want to follow you. Winning without intimidation is the ultimate mastery of persuasion. It is influence that inspires, relationships that flourish, and success that feels meaningful. When you practice persuasion with integrity, you don't just achieve your goals. You leave a legacy of trust, respect, and positive impact that lasts far beyond any single conversation or deal. And that is the true art of persuasion, not to conquer others, but to connect, uplift, and create change that benefits everyone involved. And that brings us to the heart of Bob Burg's timeless wisdom. Persuasion is not about manipulation, pressure, or forcing others to bend to your will. It is about connection, understanding, and influence rooted in respect, empathy, and integrity. Every principle we've explored, from mastering your mindset to asking instead of telling, from building rapport to speaking the language of benefits, leads to one ultimate truth. When you lift others up, inspire trust, and act with honesty, influence becomes natural, effortless, and lasting. Persuasion is not just a skill, it is a way of being. It shapes relationships, creates opportunities, and transforms ordinary conversations into powerful connections that change lives. Remember, real power comes not from intimidation, but from understanding, caring, and guiding others toward mutual success. If you enjoyed this journey into the art of persuasion, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with anyone who wants to become a better communicator and leader. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more motivational and educational book summaries, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. And I want to hear from you. Comment below what book you want us to summarize next, or share your thoughts on how you've applied these persuasion principles in your own life. Your story might inspire someone else. Thank you for watching, and remember, influence is not about winning over others, it's about winning trust, respect, and hearts. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep inspiring.